how does the Qurtuba Islamic finance model work? Please give a short description.
Okay, Muslims or others, members who seek to buy a house using Qurtuba financing, first become a member by buying 20 shares at $100 a share. So they have to invest $2,000, and they pay once in a lifetime administrative fee of $75 to open their file or dossier. And with that they become members, and then they can bring more money over time, or if they can bring in lump sum, until they reach 45,000 currently. And at that point they are on a list, and people on the list are called first come first served to buy a house as financing becomes available. The model is basically a rent-to-own model. In terms of Sharia, it is called a diminishing musharika model. What it is that there's a share of the family that owns the house that wants to become owners, and there's the share of Qurtuba, and if the share of Qurtuba is 50%, then they pay 50% of the total rental value to Qurtuba. After they have made some investments, the Qurtuba share may be 20%, and then they pay the 20% of the rental value to Qurtuba per month until the rent is 0% and they become owners.
Who pays the notary fees and the mutation tax?
The notary fee and mutation tax, according to Qurtuba's regulations, at the time of the purchase of the house are paid by the member, and at the end of the transaction, when we transfer the house to the member, the notary fee and the mutation tax are paid by Qurtuba.
Who pays the municipal, school and water tax and insurance?
Thank you, Brother Laka. That's a good question that is often asked. And we have to explain that in all the Sharia compliant institutions in North America, these costs are paid by the member. And the reason for that is that it was determined that these taxes are used to build infrastructure like roads, parks, schools, and the only member of the cooperative that would benefit from them is the member who is living there, because he's using those facilities. So it was decided that all these costs will be paid by the member, and this will make it easier for him, because when he becomes an owner, he would be used to paying these costs.
How about the insurance as well?
The insurance as well, because the insurance is basically secures the owner's property.
Okay, thank you so much.
You know, this is a...
How are capital gains and losses shared?
Again, on the basis of musharika, where normally financial costs must be shared, unlike the taxes situation where we said only the member benefits. As far as capital gains and losses are concerned, this is an investment gain or loss, and both parties have invested. So normally in Qurtuba, the members pay 25% to 50% at the beginning, and the co-op pays between 75% and 50%. So let's take the case where member pays 25% and Qurtuba pays 75%. That means Qurtuba has 75% financing at the beginning and 0% at the end. So on average, their financing has been 37.5%. So based on Musharika, they should share 37.5% in capital gains and capital losses. And we all know that with real estate, the capital losses are relatively rare, and most of the time it's a capital gain. If the member brought 50% at the beginning, then Qurtuba's investment in the beginning is 50% and 0% at the end, so it has an average of 25%. Therefore, you should share 25% in capital gains and losses. Because these are internal regulations within our cooperative, it was discussed and it was decided that sharing between 25 and 37.5% is rather too much, and therefore if the cooperative shared for 10% and the members who financed the house, the members of Qurtuba who financed the house, get a return of 10% and also take a loss of 10%, then that would be enough. So this is a consensus decision, and currently the Qurtuba members only share 10% of the capital gain or loss.
Clarify.
So in the end, to clarify, 90% of the capital gain goes to the member occupant, the one who's living in the house, and 10% goes to the other members.
And in the case of losses?
And in the case of losses, it's exactly the same. 90% of the loss will be absorbed by the member occupant and 10% by the other members.